Good morning, everybody. It is lovely to see you all. This is the third of three classes of a short mini course titled Taming the Inner Critic. We have looked at a series of Jewish texts and Jewish ideas that have been centered around the concept of judging others favorably, judging others positively. And we know that when we are faced with another person that is standing in front of us, our mind the entire time, it's working, it is thinking, and it is judging. And there's a propensity to perhaps judge a person without the entire picture, judge without all of the information, judge without all of the understanding of who that person is and where that person is currently standing at any given time. And if we do judge, can we judge in a favorable manner? Even if it's far-fetched, we saw last week, even if it's far-fetched, Judaism has an obligation upon us to say, create a scenario in your mind that could be even an outlandish one, but with the possibility that you'll be judging this individual favorably. Okay, so without any further ado, I want to jump in and take a look at an additional set of fascinating sources that can really get us even deeper into this concept. And the first thing is Pirkei Avot, where we are told in chapter 2 of Pirkei Avot. Can you see my screen? Yeah, you can see that?
Yeah.
The Mishnah says, V'al tadin et havercha ad shetegia lemokamo. My gosh, if ever you wanted a sticker to stick onto your fridge, print that off, stick that on your fridge. That can be a life's mission for the rest of it. Don't judge a fellow until you've reached his place. Now, what's really interesting, is that phrase, ad shetagia lemokamo, until you have reached their place. It could have just said, don't judge your fellow, right? Don't judge your fellow, stop. Don't judge. Don't judge your fellow, ad shetagia lemokamo, until you've reached their place. What does that mean, until you've reached their place? In text 2, we have a commentary of a famous Torah commentator on the Mishnah, Rabbi Ovadia of Bartanura. As you can tell by his name, he lived in Italy. Either that or he liked that blue bottle of fizzy white wine. Wow. And Rabbi Ovadia of Bartanura comments on this Mishnah, and he says the following. He says, if you see someone facing a challenge and actually fail. They fail. You see somebody that messed up. You see somebody that, for better or for worse, failed. Al tadinhu lachova ad shetegia lidei nisayon kamohu b'tinatzel. Don't judge that person at all, until you've undergone the same challenge and you have overcome it. Amazing. If you see someone else fall down, if you see somebody else mess up, if you see somebody else fail, don't judge that person until you have undergone that same challenge, and not only undergone that same challenge, but you've actually overcome it. I think what this means is, in other words, never judge a person. Never judge a person. Because even if, I'll give a very small, innocuous example, okay? Even if you see a person taking extra pieces of cake at the Kiddush, and you see a person, they're at the Kiddush, and they've had a piece of cake, and then what do? They take another piece of cake, and then what happens? You're still talking to them, what happens? They take another piece of cake. You say to yourself, my gosh, this person's on his third piece of cake. What's going on? when it says don't judge a person until you've reached their place, you don't know what their place is. Maybe they skipped breakfast that morning, right? Maybe they're really hungry. Maybe they've got a sugar rush. Maybe their blood sugar levels are low. Maybe they're stress eating. Maybe, I mean, when we get into the maybes, could be anything, right? Maybe it is A, B, C. And because you can never know what that is, we can never really reach another person's place. And I think this is a profound commentary on this Mishnah. Don't judge another person until you've reached their place. You'll never reach their place. Until you stand in someone else's shoes, you'll never stand in someone else's shoes. And I think of this the whole time when somebody is annoying me, when somebody is irritating me, when somebody is acting poorly towards me, when somebody is not nice to me. What do I say to myself? Maybe you do the same. I say to myself, I don't know what's going on in their day. I don't know what this person is dealing with right now. I don't know this person's upbringing. I don't know the issues this person had maybe with their parents as they were growing older. I don't know the hardships this person has had to overcome. I don't know the inner strength that this person has been able to tap into and utilize. Maybe they've had just an awful upbringing. Maybe they've had an awful year. Maybe this day started on the wrong foot. And maybe they've never really worked upon themselves to become a better person. And when I start to say all of those maybes, it reframes the person. They were over here, and now I put them over here. It reframes who that person is. Again, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about this person. So this morning, hang on a second. Welcome, Richard. Welcome, William. We're so happy that you are here with us. And Richard, I don't know if you've been, William, I don't know if you've been participating in the previous classes, but you're catching us in the middle of our course of Taming the Inner Critic, judging people favorably, not judging people negatively. Let us continue on to the next item. First of all, any questions, any comments on that? That we can never judge a person. Okay, so let me ask you an amazing idea, which is, why do we judge people altogether? Let's just not judge anybody. Like, why are we driving ourselves crazy and turning ourselves into a pretzel in terms of how we judge people? Let's just not judge people. And this question was written in a letter to Rabbi Yitzhak Berkovitz. Rabbi Yitzhak Berkovitz is a rabbi who lives in Jerusalem. He is an incredibly articulate teacher, a brilliant scholar, and a leading rabbi in Israel today. And he answered this person in a letter. The letter was made public, and that's how I was able to get hold of this letter. Rabbi Yitzhak Berkovitz's personal correspondences, and he gave permission for it to be shared. And the question was, maybe we shouldn't judge anybody. Look what he writes. It's very, very interesting. It's human nature to draw conclusions. It would be naive to think that we will not instinctively judge the actions of the other. The Torah acknowledges the human mindset and therefore gives us guidelines on how to judge others correctly. This is an amazing idea. Let's just pause there for a moment. The Torah, in telling us to judge others favorably, is starting with an assumption at the outset. What's the Torah's assumption? We know human psychology, and you know what humans do? They judge others. This is so real. I love this because the Torah is not given to angels. The Torah was given to human beings of flesh and blood. It was given to you and me. And who are we with our limitations and our flesh and blood humanity? We're people that judge. To be a human is to judge someone else. by looking at their actions and behaviors. And therefore, says Rabbi Yitzhak Berkovitz, don't try and walk around on some angelic level where you believe that you would be able to say, let's not judge anyone, let's just be good people. No, we're not like that. Human beings do think of others. We do instinctively think about other people's behavior. And therefore, with that starting assumption, the Torah comes along and says, let me give you guidelines on how to do it properly. Beautiful, beautiful. Number two, the Torah directs us to be active participants in society. We're not supposed to turn a blind eye to the world around us. One should not just say, I'm not going to get involved, I don't want to know, I don't care about what he or she did. We have to care. Judaism is about being active members in society, not sticking our heads in the sand. Failure to judge the actions of others is passively withdrawing from society. Isn't that interesting? I'll say that last line again. Failure to judge the actions of others is passively withdrawing from society. So what Rabbi Berkovitz is saying is, number one, we automatically judge others. So let the Torah teach us how to do it right. But secondly, it's proper to judge the actions of others. Because if we don't, we are putting our heads in the sand. And this is a really important idea. And I want to share with you, it's one of the hardest ideas because it goes counter to contemporary society. What does contemporary society do today? You're okay, I'm okay. We have a phrase, you do you. Have you heard this phrase before? You do you. And that means everything's fine, everything goes, everything's good, everything is allowed, everything is permissible, you do you. Judaism says there's a right and a wrong. I'm not going to get into what's happening in Israel right now. We're glued to the news. We know, I want to learn Torah with you today. But one of the great failures of the world today is that there's something called right and there's something called wrong, you know? And the media of all institutions in our world today, the Western press, they love to equalize everything. You're right and you're right and everyone's okay and everyone's on the same level and we're all, there's something called right and there's something called wrong. Okay, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. You know exactly what I'm saying. And the beauty of that letter by Rabbi Berkovitz is we should all be caring about society. We should be caring about our fellow. We should be caring about this world. And to put your head in the sand and say, them, just what? That's not a Jewish approach. We should be passionately engaged with this world. That's what it means to be Jewish. Not to live in our own enclave and try to shut out the world, but to passionately be an active member of society, an active human being in this story of mankind. Very, very powerful idea. Let's go further. I want to go even further with you. I want to tell you a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. I have it here written down. Allow me to share this story with you. It's a story of a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Shmuel Starshun of Vilna. Rabbi Shmuel Starshun of Vilna. You've never heard of this rabbi. He was a Talmudic commentator. Okay, if you've studied the Talmud and you're going into the back pages of the Talmud where the very small print is, you'll come across Rabbi Shmuel Starshun of Vilna. He lived in the beginning of the 1800s, died in 1885. He was known for his incredible commentary, great wisdom, pious rabbi. And he was also known, listen to this, for his great wealth. He was also known for his great wealth. he was a money lender, and he had lent money. We know we can't lend on interest, but there were various members of the broader, wider society that he was able to lend money to. He basically had like a prototype bank, and he was a banker, and he was extremely wealthy. And he would spend many, many hours studying the Talmud. And he would take time off occasionally as his role as a merchant banker. And oftentimes, to the poorest members of his community, he administered a free loan fund. A free loan fund. One day, a poor tailor named Zalman came in to borrow 300 rubles to be paid back in 1 year. The rabbi lent him the 300 rubles, and Zalman took the money and off he went. 1 year later, he came back with exactly 300 rubles, gave it back to Rabbi Shmuel Shtarshun. Rabbi Shmuel Shtarshun, at the time when Zalman paid him back the money, was learning Torah. He was deep in thought. He took the paper notes and put it inside the back page flap of the volume of Talmud that he was learning. He did it absent-mindedly, caught up in his learning, continued learning, gave a nod, and off he went. A week later, the rabbi asked Zalman, "Where's the money? You're a week late. You were supposed to give it to me on this date 1 year later." And Zalman said to him, "Rabbi, what are you talking about? I did. I came in a week ago. I returned you the money." And the rabbi said, "No, you did not. I have no recollection of this." Maybe. And he said, "I want to take you to a court. I want to take you to a Beit Din. I want to resolve the matter. I want to get to the bottom of this." And news spread around town that this holy, pious, saintly rabbi was suing this pauper Zalman in court. And people were outraged. How dare you have the audacity to contradict our holy, pious, saintly rabbi? And Zalman's character was tarnished. His reputation was ruined. People stopped doing business. This was even before the court case began. People stopped doing business with him. And he eventually had to move out of town a broken man. The rabbi, seeing what had happened, dropped the court case against him. He felt such compassion and rachmanas. How do you say rachmanas in English? He had such compassion for him. He dropped the court case. A year later, the rabbi was studying once again that old volume that he had put on the shelf. And as he takes the volume off from the shelf and opens it up, the money falls out of the inside back page flap. And he realizes, oh my God, he only went and gave me back the money, and I absent-mindedly completely forgot about it. It never registered. What am I going to do? He goes over to the next town, pleads for forgiveness. "I am so sorry. Please, please forgive me." Zalman said to him, "What good is forgiveness? My business is gone. My money is lost. I'm the laughing stock of the town. I've had to leave town." And the rabbi said to him, you're right. My God, what am I going to do? He says, "I'm going to go into shul this Shabbat. I'm going to go to every shul in the village, and I'm going to announce I made a mistake. And people should restore their trust back to you. They should once again be involved in business with you." And Zalman said, "Absolutely not. That's not going to work either. People are only going to assume that the saintly rabbi is a tzaddik, that you are so holy that your compassion compels you 1 year later to stand up and come to the aid of me. They're never going to believe that I was truly right." And the rabbi said, "You're right." Taka, you're right. And the rabbi was like, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do? He won't accept my apology because it will do no good. His business has gone down the drain. No one trusts him. I can't publicly say I was wrong because people are going to assume that I am acting in an altruistic matter. How am I possibly going to help him?" So the rabbi thought for a second, and he said, this could only work 200 years ago. I don't know if this would work today. He said, "I have a daughter You have a son. Let's marry off our kids together. And no one will have any doubts whatsoever that you are nothing other than the most respectable of people. And Zalman agreed to the rabbi's proposal. The bride and groom married. The wedding was arranged. And Zalman was returned back to his former status in the community. It's a true story. It's a true story. Now, this is a story that has a positive ending to it, but could you imagine had all of the people in the town had judged him positively in the first place? They would have maintained their business relationships with him. He wouldn't have had to have moved to a different town, etc., etc. Okay, like we did last time, I want to now turn this into a workshop, okay? Because I want you to be exceptional, incredible people this next week. Okay, so take yourselves off of mute. We're turning it into a workshop. I want you to come up with the following justifications for the following incidents, okay? Because this is a good practice. This is the only way we will get better at this. Number one, the girl behind the counter, could be the boy behind the counter, gets impatient with you and answers your questions reluctantly and tersely. Why are they acting like that?
Didn't give them the chocolate bars.
You didn't give them the chocolate bars? Okay, you heard a previous story of mine. Give me another answer. The person at the cashier gets impatient with you and only answers your questions reluctantly and tersely. What's going on with them?
Maybe he wasn't being treated properly by his boss.
The boss shouted at him. Good. Give me another one. Lara.
I can remind him or her of someone that has affected them badly in the past.
Maybe your facial, yeah, you just remind me of someone that impacted me negatively in the past. Excellent. Give me another one.
Things weren't good at home.
Things weren't good at home. They had a fight with somebody. They got into an argument with somebody at home before they left for work. Give me another one.
He doesn't feel well. His back aches.
His back aches. He's not feeling well. Very good. Okay.
Something that they did, that it's their problem, and not something that you did.
Okay. Next scenario. A person walking on the sidewalk from behind you bumps into you as they're running on their way. He doesn't turn back to apologize. What's going on?
He didn't see you.
He didn't see you. Give me another one. Excellent.
He's running to pick up his child who's hurt.
He's running to pick up his child who's hurt. Give me another one.
He's fleeing from somebody attacking him.
He's fleeing from somebody that's attacking him. These are all correct. You know what they are also? They're intellectually correct right now in our heads. I want you to think about these answers. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe later today, someone's going to bump into you on the sidewalk, push you, and not turn back and say sorry. I know where my mind goes to. So rude. But you just gave me, he's fleeing from somebody that's attacking him. He's running to pick up his kid. He didn't see you. Remember, what we know intellectually has to enter into our hearts. We have to emotionally feel this. This is why it's a challenge. This is why I'm doing these examples.
Or maybe he's just a mean person.
But you don't know who they are, Evelyn. So to say maybe they're a mean person wouldn't be judging them favorably. And let me give you another one. Your neighbor parks their car right near the entrance to your driveway after you've asked them to do it, after you've asked them not to do it at least 3 times. Why did the neighbor park their car near your driveway?
He has a problem with you.
He has a problem with you. Okay. Doesn't respect you. Give me another answer. Positively, imagine something, judge them favorably. Why does the neighbor park their car near your driveway again?
If they do the same thing again and again and again, I don't know how much positive you could give them positive excuse.
Well, maybe they're doing it again and again because they're a bit careless, but now that you've spoken to them, They needed to, they were in an emergency, they were in a rush. This happened to me once, not with a neighbor parking in the driveway, but something very similar. And the policeman gave me the benefit of the doubt. You want to hear what happened? So I was driving home, had my kids in the car, we were driving from school. We were one street away from my road. One street, we were home, we were basically home. My daughter, she must have been 3, 4 at the time, she needed the bathroom in the way that only a 3-year-old needs the bathroom. You know, they're fine, they're fine, they're fine, and then suddenly, I need to pee right now. You know exactly what these 3-year-olds. So, so I got panicky because when they're like, I need to pee right now, they don't say it quietly, calmly, and gently. They're screaming at the top of their lungs, I need to pee, it's coming out, quickly, quickly. So the last road before my road had a stop sign. Not a car in sight, looked carefully. I ran the stop sign. Drove into my driveway as quick as I could. Behind the bushes, by the way, they're always behind the bushes. Behind the bushes was the police car. And he was like, oh, that was blatant. Off we go. And he was very surprised when I parked in the driveway of the house right after the stop. And I jump out because seatbelt and the strap and the baby seat, and I'm like, quick, quick, quick. He's like thinking I'm gonna lead a chase now because this guy's driving quickly down his road. And I get out and I'm like, quick, run to the toilet, run to the toilet. The policeman, to his credit, saw what was happening, understood the scenario. And I'm like, this is my house, she needs the toilet, let her go at least. And he laughed it off and he was like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. So I'm telling you, because of that experience I had, why am I sharing that with you? If someone would park across my driveway, even if I told them not to, my mind would go to maybe they had an emergency toilet stop that they just couldn't help. And I don't know. All of these, we can come up with 100 different explanations. 100 different explanations. But what's important to keep in mind is that any of them could be true. Any of them could be true. And in the heat of the moment, what's critical is to remind ourselves, maybe one of these are true right now. Maybe one of these are true right now. Okay, another idea, another source. I want to take a look at Maimonides, the Rambam.
Rabbi, before you go to the next one,
Yes.
can I ask you something? What
Yeah.
about if it's just a horrible person who's doesn't give thought to anyone else but himself, is constantly in the face of everyone, disregarding any respectful behavior towards his fellow man? What about those guys that you give positive?
I've met 1 or 2 of those people before. Listen.
She's talking about Rachel.
Listen, when you've met someone and you know over and over and over again their personality, they're just miserable, you know, and everything's a criticism, everything's a comment, everything's a put down, everything's a
Like you.
You know what I say? You know what I say? I say they have a tough time in life. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Life is difficult for them. You know, and it is. I've met people like this. Life is difficult for them. They have a hard time with relationships. They have a hard time with friends. They have a hard time with their parents. They have a hard time with their siblings. They have a hard time with people in shul. They have a hard time with the cashier at the IGA. They have a hard time with the person at the bank. And I tell myself, I don't know what it is or why it is, but I just know with this person, they just struggle through life. So I try not to judge them negatively. Yeah, they are that type of person, but I try not to judge them negatively. Why? They just have a hard time. And I have compassion. I try to have compassion on them. Not easy, Evelyn. I agree. But that's how I reframe. I reframe. Of course, in my mind, I'm thinking of those people right now. You know, I know who they are. You know, I've been having a relationship with them for 15 years. I know exactly who those people are. Lara, yes.
I would just like to share that, yes, there are people out there that seem callous, like they don't care, and they will often repeat the same thing over and over that is hurtful. I know many people like that. Now, working with homeless, working with people who have addiction, I can say that my experience is that high anxiety, lack of services for emotional support,
Yeah.
lack of support from family, feeling like they don't belong can often lead to people behaving in a way that is so destructive towards others. And I tend to believe that when I show love, um, those people act differently towards me. But yes, stress, addiction, all kinds of other factors come into why someone is just so brutal all the time. So I would just want to share
Very
that.
important. Thank you very much. Very important. We're lucky that Lara's joining us because she works with, as you just heard, certain populations that have a tough time, that can fall through the cracks, that maybe do. And when you start to realize the depth of another person's soul, there are people that have just been dealt difficult cards in life, or for one reason or another, have a tough time. And yet, when you said it very well, when we project out positivity, love, you can start to make a mirror. There is a mirroring. I really believe this. And we know it to be true. Someone comes up to you, tense, anxious, tough. Our shoulders go up. We feel a bit tense. When someone, the first thing they do, hi, eye contact, big smile, nice hello. How nice does that feel? We all like that. Hi, nice to see you. Okay, I'm in a better place already. And I want to finish with one source. I know this is a little early, but I'm also going to be preparing for the 12 noon session that I'm going to give. So I want to finish with one last source, and that is Maimonides. And he tells us how should we go through our lives? What is the appropriate and proper way in which we in a dignified manner hold ourselves and carry ourselves throughout this journey of life? Take a look at the following. It's very powerful. And again, it's easy to read it. It's another thing to internalize it. A person whose actions and personality are shaped by Torah values and wisdom. It's a brilliant translation. The original is a Talmid Chacham. Now in Hebrew, a Talmid Chacham is usually like a wise rabbi. No, we can all look at how they translated it. So a person whose actions and personality are shaped by Torah values and wisdom. That's you and me. That's all of us, okay? We're trying to shape our personalities by Torah values and wisdom. Should not shout like an animal when he speaks with people. Neither should he raise his voice. Rather, he should speak calmly with everyone. Diburo benachat in kol habriot. You should speak gently with everyone. They should make sure to take the initiative to greet everyone first so that they are pleasant to be around. My goodness, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? By the way, here's your homework for you knew this was coming. This is your homework. Take the initiative to greet everyone first. Be pleasant to be around. They should judge people positively. Here's our entire course. And speak favorably about others, never speaking negatively about them. I love it when I hear somebody, do you know so-and-so? And they say to me, oh, they're so nice. let me tell you an amazing story about so and so. The other day, they did an act of kindness and they did it. I feel taller when I'm in the presence of such people. And when people share with me stories of love and kindness, it doesn't have to be a heroic act of valor. It could be a small gesture. I love it when people share with me small. Do you know that person? Oh, they are so sweet, or they're so kind, or you know, the other day they picked me up and they were just. One should love and pursue peace. In general, a person should always speak words of wisdom and loving kindness. Friends, in other words, according to Maimonides, judging others favorably is the refinement of our characters. And when he speaks about a person who is acting in the most supreme way possible, in the best way possible, it's part and parcel of our personalities that, as well as smiling, as well as saying hello, as well as greeting others positively, we also judge others favorably. It's easy to say, now we have to go and put it in practice, okay? Okay. With your permission, I'm going to pause here for today. Thank you very much for joining me over these last 3 weeks. It's so easy. I know it's easy to talk about. If anyone does the homework or has a positive experience, email me, let me know. You know, I bumped into and then I judged them faith. Let me know. You know, I want to hear you report back. There's an opportunity for us all to become better, greater people. And it starts now.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Be well.